All right, guys, welcome back. It's me, Daniel, with VintageMagic.com, bringing you Finance Friday. I haven't done one of these for a while, so let's get right into it. Yesterday's video, I brought up the topic of where the market's at, where it's going, stuff like that. And I want to kind of break down some of the things that I'm thinking what's going on in the market. Recently, there was a PWCC auction that showcased something that was really interesting to me. There was a BGS9 Alpha Black Lotus that sold for about $101,000. And I think the subgrades were like 10, 999. So it's a quad with a 10. And basically, that card really highlighted something to me because about May or so, about a month and a half or 2 months before, there was a similar BGS9 Alpha Lotus. I think it was 295s and 29s, and it sold for $141,000. Now, you're probably looking at me like, well, Dan, those are just two different cards, and those are just two big sales anyway. Who cares? Well, the thing is, the grades are very similar. The one with the 10 centering is actually is 1 point off, right, from the actual 9.5 grade, and the other one is the BGS 0.5 away. The quad plus 9 is actually 0.5 from 9.5. So the thing is, though, grade wise, it's actually about the same. And so I use this as kind of a measuring stick to understand how the world, though, is at a 40%, I was corrected before and told I was 29%, but whatever, $40,000 drop from a previous sale. So the most recent one sold for 101, the other one sold for 141. How is that possible within a matter of a month or two? What happened? Did the economy of Magic just tank? Did it just fail? Well, after deep diving into some investigation, understanding this, I realized that the bidding history shows you something very interesting. For the most recent sale one, $101,000, there's only two people at $100,000. There's a guy who's bidded over $100,000, another guy just right at $100,000. The one that sold for 141, there was like 12 or 13 something of them. And I'll put the link of both auctions of this Lotus below so you can kind of see what I'm saying. And in that auction, there was like 12 or 13 people over or at $100,000 range. Now, you tell me something. You tell me, is there shill bidding going on? Because recently, PWCC was accused of some shill bidding shenanigans. Basically, people or within maybe the organization or other people have been bidding, or maybe the consignor was bidding. They're working it out. There's some legal issues going on. I don't want to dive too deep into that, but basically I saw an article about there was, PWCC was possibly knowingly selling trimmed or people encouraging people to bid, kind of a shill bidding thing going on. And I'm not sure if that kind of a scandal is actually affecting the price performance because the auction results of the last auction was much less. Another thing I thought about was also recently, I don't know if you guys knew about this, eBay is now charging full sales tax. I think this happened about a month or two ago, where they're basically, any state you're living in is pretty much, every state that has sales tax is charging like a nexus tax, which basically means that any goods that are considered catalog, or eBay is considered like a catalog type of thing, you have to pay sales tax, and you're no longer able to get no sales tax. So if you think about it, an Alpha Lotus at $100,000 now becomes $110,000. Unless you are a business and you have a reseller's license, you're not able to get the free sales tax, or you have to pay now sales tax. So I think that has part of it too. It has to do with the price action. Another thing I realized and thought about was the international clients now really have a pickle because their items they're getting from like major auction houses like PWCC are being charged as full duties and taxes in the sense that their declared value is the declared value of the auction. So, for example, if an item sold for $100,000 on eBay and you're a guy in France, you would be declared $100,000 on the customs form. The customs form. And if you guys don't know anything about customs, you have to pay duties and taxes on that, which is insane. That's like $35,000 to $25,000 additional money. Before, I think people were under declaring it. I think you were able to do that. I don't even understand how it actually works fully, but I do know that they are paying more customs and duties. So that actually causes potentially more changes in the pricing, because if you had a market that was I don't know, every auction running is about $5 million for the Magic, and now you have $4 million because of all the taxes and all the fees and everything, that could potentially hurt and perceive that the market's going down. As I also said in my last video, I honestly think that 2020 is going to be a huge year on the perception of the overall American economy, and really the worldwide economy too, because what we have in America affects the world. So I feel like it depends on what's going to happen. Is Trump going to be back in office? Is there going to be a Democrat in the office? How are the stock market, all the other wealth markets going to react? How's that going to happen? Because you have to keep in mind, right now, the economy is actually very stable. The interest rates are relatively still low. They've increased some of the interest rates, but it hasn't crippled the economy. The Fed has, I think, said that they're not going to increase interest rates at all for the rest of the year. So it actually has made the stock market at all-time highs again. Real estate is doing pretty well. I know that real estate in some markets are a little high, a little bit of a correction, but still. The more important thing also is jobs. I mean, jobs are doing really well. People are getting jobs. If you want to find a job, there's jobs out there to get. People aren't laying off. Corporations aren't just laying off people like they did back in 2007, 2008. So it gives people a lot of confidence, and consumer confidence is back up too. So all of these things, being said, that does affect the Magic economy overall and the people's buying interest. However, I do have some predictions. I do feel like some of the markets are really, really oversold or overbought. I feel like Arabian Nights, Legends, Antiquities, you're seeing some weakness already. You're also seeing some weakness in some of the beta and even alpha cards. I think alpha cards have been bought a lot, and there's a slight correction and also difficulty to sell, meaning that there might be listed on a Facebook group or they might be on eBay and on a store, and people aren't buying them. There's no best offer buying. It's not like what it was where it was like, oh, I gotta have this, I gotta buy this, right? No, it's like, no, I'm gonna wait. I think part of it is that there are money on the sidelines right now to purchase in cash, but I actually think for cards, specifically cards, and even some sealed product in general, I feel like cash is short. I feel like that word in finance, I think it's overinvested. I think a lot of people are over-invested in Magic more than they think. And we're not talking about like a store or a business like myself. I'm talking about individuals. And that's scary, because that brings up a point that I saw a poll from one of the Facebook groups asking, what is the overall Magic investment of your net worth built into? What is that? And I started thinking about that. I'm like, what is my net worth of built into for Magic? How much? I don't even know. I mean, honestly, I haven't really thought about that in the scheme of life. But what I think is, better question is, what is healthy? What is healthy for the market itself, for yourself individually? And I'll kind of close with that kind of topic, is that I wonder if you had a lot of money into Magic, like we're talking like more than 50% of your net worth. We're talking like more than real estate, more than stocks, more than bonds, all that kind of stuff, right? what is healthy and what is not healthy. And I gotta say, it's kind of, depends on where. It's a two-part answer. It depends on where you started in the game and investing, or when you and also your liquidity in general and your level of risk. If you are a person that has a risky job or a tough environment, hold on a sec. Nick's going crazy again. God, Nick. All right, guys, we're back. So finishing up this topic, what is a healthy amount of money in Magic? It's really hard to tell because, like I was saying, there's two parts. If you have if you have a risky job where it's very volatile, like you've been laid off before, you're working like a service industry, or you're working in a job that requires hours, and if they don't give you enough hours, you actually lose money. It's very, very hard to actually, it's very risky to have a lot of money in Magic cards because you're constantly having to sell those cards to pay your bills. And it's really hard if you're also the main breadwinner, because if your wife, or your husband does not actually work also, you end up having a huge issue on that because you're always struggling. And have you ever seen that before, where you have these collectibles that you really like, but you're having to sell them because you're like always pushed and stressed for money? And if you actually watch some of the other videos, I said that if you are in charge of your finances for Magic, you actually have the price controls when you don't have to be forced to sell. You are the one that is in full control. Now, the other part is that when you got into Magic, and I've talked about this before, is because I've invested in Magic through many stages of my career, and I still, to this day, I still buy Magic cards all the time. Oh, hold on, guys. Hey, Nick. All right, sorry about that. Nick's throwing balls underneath cars and trying to find them. Okay, so back to what I was saying. Depends on what stage you are currently at in your finances and where you entered Magic investing. If you bought into Magic at the 2018-2019 time frame here, you'll realize that the prices haven't really gone anywhere. They're pretty flat. In fact, they've probably gone down for some cases. If you bought like the Alpha Lotus for $141,000, whoever that was, if that's a real bidder, and now it's gone to $100,000. It's really weird. Like, where exactly is that going? I don't understand, right? I think that people need to understand that, like guys like me who've been buying this for a very long time. I have Alpha Lotuses I've bought for like $2,000 or less because I've been buying them for so long. People understand that the price point has changed so much. You're already in the money, even if it goes down from 141 to 100. So it doesn't really matter where it's at. So I kind of realized that it also depends on people's level of when they want to sell, and I think Rudy from Alpha Investments made a very interesting video about when do the people that have these cards or have large majority stakes want to actually sell their cards. And you realize that, a lot of these people, like I've been saying in other videos, these people don't really need to sell. They're actually just buying because they love the cards and they truly enjoy accumulation or hoarding or just stocking up. I guess people hate people like that, but they have the right to do it and they enjoy it. So it's very interesting because I truly believe that it's a matter of time where people have to realize that these people will never sell their stuff. Maybe over time, you don't know. But for the majority of people who are living off credit, who possibly are, stressed with cash, those people, depending on where you got into the market, it could truly affect the marketplace in general. I also think that in general, in this entire conversation about where your Magic portfolio should be as a whole, there is never a set percentage. I think that if you actually had your house paid, and I'm talking about paid off, not as a loan, not some like low percentage loan or whatever. I'm talking about paid off. You have some rental properties coming in where you're making positive cash flow. It may not pay off, but it's paying for itself. You have college tuition debt paid off. You have reserve cash. and you have a large percentage of Magic cards, I just don't see a problem with that. I don't see it at all, because especially if it's older Magic cards, investable products, stuff like that, that's kind of liquid, but it's also a growing asset long term, I don't see a problem with that. Even artwork. I think artwork is a very long-term play, or prints, or Jaclays, whatnot. Those are all long-term plays if you have larger quantities of them. But I really feel like you have to have a plan. You have to have your personal life, all those things covered first. If you don't have that stuff paid off, I think you're invested like way over 50% of your net worth. I think there's a problem. And there's no set percentage, but again, like what I said, if you don't have a good job that has a track record of losing money, or losing your job, or losing hours, whatever, you're not really getting promotions anytime soon. You're not able to. You're stressed because you have children debt, child support, whatever. It's very stressful to have to be able to sell all your prized possessions, and then you have to buy back them later on, which is ridiculous, but people do it all the time. And then they're like, have to pay a lot more. So planning ahead is a very important tip, so you are ahead of the game. All right, so I will be also posting a video about this thing called mythicmarkets.com. I'm not sponsored by them at all. I'm going to do a video about mythicmarkets.com. Mythicmarkets.com is launched at GP Seattle 2019. And this thing was very interesting because I didn't go to that. I actually was in Japan. And I saw this. And I was like, what the hell is this? Sponsored by Channel Fireball, some other venture capitalists in the Bay Area. And basically what they're trying to do is basically have investable vehicles, non-sport investable vehicles like comic books, Magic cards, garbage pail kids, whatever, right? I'm assuming all the plethora of toys and hobbies of our fandom in our community. And they had an Alpha BGS9 Black Lotus. They acquired it from one of my clients in Denmark. And it was funny how they did it, because they used his initials, and the Denmark, it just kind of like clicked, obviously. And they valued at $125,000 current market value. And they said that growth was about 37%, which I'm not sure where they're getting that number from, but I guess they're doing some kind of graph analysis, whatever. But long story short, I don't understand what they're doing here, because if you look at the terms and conditions, it may or may not, if this is wording, it may or may not be something that works out. It may or may not be like it's a stock. It could be a stock thing where you can trade. It may or may not happen. That may or may not happen. It is SEC verified, so that's good. So it's actually regulated by the Securities Exchange Commission, where basically it looks at it as an asset you can invest in, which is great. The legalities look good, but the thing is, the may or may nots are crazy. And so I think you have about 2,000 shares at like 62 something change, whatever. And you can buy, I think you can only cap at so many shares you can buy. I think it's like 100 shares, something like that, maximum, whatever. But the bottom line is only 42 investors have invested, and it's not even close to the halfway or a quarter of the value point of the estimated value of $125,000. So, and it's already been way past GP Seattle. We're talking about months, or not months, but at least about a month. And so you would think the momentum is there. You would think being at a Grand Prix sponsored by Channel Fireball, or involved with Channel Fireball, it's kind of like a nice little setup. They have their little website, all their shirts, and people would just sign up and want the holy grail of all cards, the Alpha 9 Black Lotus. And this is funny, because this is an idea that I actually thought about doing years ago. And there's a lot of things why I didn't want to do it. And there's a lot of legalities. But I think the next video that I'll have, this is kind of, I want to kind of plug it, is that I'll be doing a video about this Mythic Markets thing.com. And I'll break down what I think is going to work and not going to work. And I think that maybe this is what I would do if I was actually involved in it. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the Finance Friday. Lots and lots going on with Magic. I hope to see you guys at Las Vegas in August. If you're there, please say hello. I'd like to do some videos. Send me a message, Daniel@vintagemagic.com. Go to vintagemagic.com. I'm not going to be vending. I'm going to be walking around, buying stuff, doing deals. Obviously not at the show. So do not ask me to sell me your alpha set at the GP. We could meet outside in terms of a hotel, have dinner, whatever you want. That's perfectly legal in the gods. But I'm not going to look at your cards and negotiate deals. That's ridiculous. I'll get kicked out, obviously, and you'll get kicked out. So if you want to talk more about it, contact me. People have done it many, many times. And we can always have a nice meal and talk over your collection. But again, I'm not vending, so do not ask me. That's it. All right, guys, enjoy your Friday. Enjoy your weekend. Thanks for watching. More about mythicmarkets.com, other analysis videos. Thanks for watching. Put a comment below. Take care.